Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Today it's Strawberry Shortcake. The strawberries are beginning to ripen all across the United States and hopefully all over the world. I hope everyone gets to have strawberries because they're so good. I just got some really good strawberries the other day, so I thought it's time for Strawberry Shortcake. The recipe I'm going to share today is for the traditional strawberry shortcake that is a biscuit, which is basically what a shortcake is. It's a biscuit. And shortcakes are an old thing. Well, as are biscuits. They're also an old thing. And the strawberry shortcake dessert is old itself. The first mention of strawberry shortcake is in an English cookery book from the year 1588 called, this is delightful, The Good Huswife's Handmaid for Cookery in Her Kitchen.
I'm sorry, huswife?
Huswife. Huswifes. Huswife. I'm hoping that's how you pronounce it because I'm not good at this.
Don't say it too many times or we'll get that E for explicit.
So that's the first mention. That is crazy. And it was basically very similar to what we have now. It was a biscuit, sort of a pastry, non-pastry. A biscuit isn't really a pastry. I'm not sure exactly. It's sometimes categorized as a shortbread. It's sometimes categorized as pastry, sometimes categorized as some other thing that I can't remember. I just saw it and I thought, I didn't know that was considered a biscuit thing. A quick bread. That's what it was. But a biscuit is its own thing. Biscuits can be absolute heaven, especially if you've ever traveled through the southeastern United States. Biscuits can be absolute heaven.
I 100% agree. But I do have a question. You said this was in an English cookbook. Were they called biscuits or was it just for strawberry shortcake? Because biscuit in England is an entirely different thing.
Yes, this was a recipe for strawberry shortcake. The first mention of strawberry shortcake.
Oh, so they were in there as shortcakes.
Yes.
Okay.
They were in there as shortcakes. And according to a couple of articles that I read, the shortcake, the reason they were called a shortcake is because you put basically dough, the more you knead it, the more you work it. It gets tough because the proteins build and stretch out into strands and form bonds, and that's what makes dough stretchy and allows bread to rise and be light and fluffy like that. If you put a lot of fat into flour, you coat all of the little granules of flour and they can't stick to each other the way that they want to form those strands of proteins. So it is you're shorting the flour or coating it with shortening. So that's where the name comes from, the shortcake name comes from, because you have caused the flour to not be able to form strands and proteins and do what it wants to do. I know that's a terrible explanation, but that's it.
So in 2021, this could be called glitch bread?
Glitch bread. Glitch bread. Perfect. So, by 1850, this was a really well-known dessert. The idea of having a biscuit or a shortcake with some kind of fruit on top of it, and they were served with hot butter and sweet cream. So basically, you took your biscuits, you put melted butter on them and fruit, and layered them if you so desired, and then poured liquid sweet cream on them. There were actually recipes from this time period that recommended making your shortcake the size of a dinner plate, splitting it into 3, and then buttering, placing the berries on, and pouring cream on each layer. So you would cut it kind of like a cake, but it would be a biscuit the size of a dinner plate. Sounds fantastic, and I wish it was a serving for one because that sounds good to me. The whole idea really behind the shortcake is you've got this kind of dryish sort of a thing that can be very absorbent, with a lot of juice. So when you have your berries and you crush them, even if they weren't sugared, because sugar wasn't very common in the 1500s and 1600s and 1700s, not as common as you would think for the regular person. So, you could take fruit that was naturally sweet and crush it, especially berries, and you put it on, stale biscuits or whatever, and soak them up with juice and put a bunch of butter and cream on there. That the crumbly bread product soaks all that up and makes a delightful dessert. Perfect for leftovers, which, as you know, in 1588, that's about the same time period as the trifle and the fool and the tipsy laird, which were stale cakes and breads that were covered with juicy, moist, dairy, creamy kind of fruity things. To they served as a platform to soak up the juice and to not waste that stale item. I'm sure the shortcake was kind of along those lines because they really don't go bad. They're going to last for a few days. You can enjoy them for a few days. So the dessert was going around the world. It was popular everywhere by 1850. I mean, it was like it was a special treat all over the place wherever you could get strawberries. Okay, so in the United States, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, people were holding these parties or socials when strawberry season hit. And I remember when I was a little kid, every church would have a strawberry social in the summertime as soon as strawberries were on. Every community would have strawberry socials. In Florida, where they grow a lot of strawberries, it's a very common thing to have strawberry day and strawberry week and, all sorts of things like that, festivals. So very, very common. Even in Japan, strawberry shortcake was very popular, still very popular. It's considered a very special treat. So when did the whipped cream show up? In 1910, apparently, French pastry chefs began to top strawberry shortcakes with whipped whipping cream, and then perfection was achieved. You had the perfect dessert. You have the delightful biscuit, slightly sweetened, you have the sweetened strawberries, and you have the whipped cream on top. Nowadays, strawberry shortcake is still popular. You're likely to find it on the shortcakes / biscuits, sponge cake, angel food cake. It's even served on pie crust rounds, which was an early American tradition. They would roll out regular pie crust and cut it into small circles and bake it and then serve it on that. Or they would take pie crust and bake it and break it into pieces and serve the strawberry shortcake on that. And I read that that was very popular still in the South. I've never seen that, though. Here you are with the strawberry shortcake, the perfect dessert for everyone all over the world. Okay? Fairly simple to make. The strawberry part is the easier part. So what you want to do is get nice ripe strawberries. Sometimes strawberries can be a little bit on the sketchy side. Sometimes they're sweeter than others. So what I would say is my recipe, I call for 2 quarts of strawberries. When you get the strawberries, taste a couple and see, how much sugar do I need? Do I need much sugar? Do I need any sugar? Because sometimes you probably don't need any sugar. So 2 quarts of strawberries. And then I use a tablespoon of sugar per quart of strawberries to sweeten them. So you'll need 2 quarts of strawberries, 2 tablespoons of sugar. You'll need whipped cream for the topping, and please don't use Cool Whip. You can either whip your own whipped cream or buy a nice can of spray whipped cream. For the biscuits, the shortcakes, you need 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a half teaspoon of salt, a half cup of butter softened, 1 egg, and half a cup of milk. So first, with the strawberries, you're going to clean your strawberries, and the easiest way to clean strawberries is put about a half a sink of nice cold water. Clean your sink first, okay? Really well. And then plug the drain and fill your sink up about halfway with nice cold water. Drop your strawberries in there and swirl them around with your hand, and that'll get any sand or anything like that off of them. Strawberries, depending upon where they're being shipped in from or where you live, in Florida, they're all grown in very sandy soil, so you're likely to get sand on them. California, you usually don't have sand on them. Local, and wherever you live locally, unless you live in Florida, you're probably not going to have sand on them. So you want to get them real nice and clean. Then remove them into a colander and let them drain. You want to remove the stems, and you can get one of those little handy dandy strawberry stem removers or a little strawberry stem scooper outer. Those things work great. I have these little pinchy things that are kind of like strawberry tweezers that you just stick them in there and pull the stem right out. They're awesome. I think I got them at a strawberry patch one time. So those are really nice. But cut your strawberries up into pieces and sprinkle 2 tablespoons of sugar over the 2 quarts of cut up strawberry and stir it up and mix it up. And then cover the bowl and set it aside. Put it in your refrigerator for at least 30 minutes to drain the juice out. That sugar will pull the juice out. If you're not going to use sugar, you can take a potato masher and mash your strawberries up, and that will bring all the juice out. So you'll have it nice. You can actually do that even with the sugared. You can mash them up a little bit, but I like them just cut up. Okay, so now your strawberries are setting aside, starting to get nice and juicy. Now you can make your shortcakes. So you want to preheat your oven to 450. Now you're going to take 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, half teaspoon of salt, and 2 cups of flour, and mix that together in a bowl. You're going to now take your softened butter and cut that into the mixture until your mixture looks nice and crumbly. And you can use a pastry cutter to do this, or a fork. Pastry cutter is nice for this kind of a job. It usually does it fairly quickly, but a fork also works. In a separate bowl, you're going to combine the milk and the beaten egg, and then you're going to add that to the flour mixture and take a fork and just turn that over very carefully and stir it until it's just blended together. Once you get it blended together, you're going to turn it out onto a floured surface and knead it 10 strokes. Don't knead it more than 10 strokes. You just want to make sure that the dough is combined well. Don't overwork it because it will get tough. Now you want to roll the dough out to about a 1/2 inch thickness, and then you're going to cut out little round shortcakes with like a 2.5 inch diameter biscuit cutter, or a floured glass works really well. And just cut out your biscuits, put them on an ungreased baking sheet, and bake for 10 minutes. Take them out and cool them on a wire rack, and then you can assemble your shortcakes. So what you want to do is split the shortcake in half, put the bottom on your plate or in a bowl, put some of the strawberries on it, put the top piece on, put some more strawberries on it, and top it with whipped cream. You can also butter it if you want to, but definitely not required because you've got a good bit of butter in there already. But this shortcake is the best shortcake recipe that I have ever come across. I've been making it for a long time, and I have a little bit of trouble over kneading things, and I have never had that trouble with this recipe. It comes out good every time. And I think you'll really like it too. So give it a try and let me know what you think.
And make sure to check us out online on Facebook and Instagram at Mary Mac Bakehouse, on Twitter at Mobile Mary Mac and Mary Mac Podcast, and on our website, marymacpodcast.com. We'll also put a link to the newsletter where we shared the recipe card of the strawberry shortcake in the description of the episode.
Thanks a lot for listening if you did, and if you didn't, too bad for you.